3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
All right, welcome to Roots of Reality. I'm your host, Ben Baumann, and today we'll be talking about the history of crazy political statements. So, in American political history, there have been a lot of comments made by presidents that didn't quite age well, or that were immediately a dumb and regretful thing to say. However, I'm not talking about slip-ups where someone misspoke. Rather, I am talking about things that people said because they either genuinely thought it was true or thought it would be advantageous to say it. For example, one infamous quote came from one of the first rule-breaker presidents in American history, and that is the infamous President Richard Nixon, who stated in 1977, "Well, when the president does it, that means it is not illegal." An idea that is music to the ears of anyone looking to have an authoritarian reign of power, and a terrible idea for anyone who believes in democracy. Yet for Nixon, someone who consistently pushed the boundaries of his presidential power, this was something that he wished were true. Luckily, after the Watergate scandal, where he took part in the Republican Party's spying of the Democratic Party, he was later forced to resign out of embarrassment once the scandal came to light. Now, another president wrapped in scandal with the quote that aged poorly was President Bill Clinton, who in 1998 stated, "I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people." So for context for this, Bill Clinton was trying to defend himself after accusations that he had an affair with a White House intern, and it would later be proven that his statement was entirely false and made up, and that he actually was having an affair and trying to cover it up. And he would then be impeached by the United States House of Representatives for perjury and obstruction of justice. Yet, it is not just lies that have led to bad presidential quotes, but also bad judges of character regarding foreign dictators. For instance, in 2000, President George W. Bush stated in regard to Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, "I looked the man in the eye. I found him to be very straightforward and trustworthy. We had a very good dialogue. I was able to get a sense of his soul." So this quote by Bush obviously did not age well. American and Russian relations have gone downhill since then, dramatically, as Putin has now a global reputation of not only being a ruthless dictator, but also a wannabe conqueror, given his invasion of Ukraine. And finally, in the current era of American politics, when it comes to dumb quotes, we've reached rock bottom as former President Donald Trump nearly says one absurd thing a day, if not more, given he's by far the most active social media poster in American political history, averaging more posts a day than most human beings on the planet. As a result, because Trump makes lots of statements and because he has this uncontrollable urge to lie and cause as much chaos as possible to his own benefit, he is a machine when it comes to punching out what would be considered by most people to be really dumb and harmful statements to himself and to his country. For instance, in 2018, President Donald Trump, in reference to Chinese President Xi Jinping, stated, "He's now president for life, president for life." No, he's great. And look, he was able to do that. I think it's great. Maybe we'll have to give that a shot one day. Thus, not only praising the Chinese dictator, but also hinting at the idea that he thinks letting someone become a dictator in the United States, aka president for life, is something that he thinks would be a good thing to pursue. In 2019, after meeting with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un, former President Donald Trump stated, Chairman Kim has a great and beautiful vision for his country, and only the United States, with me as president, can make that vision come true. He will do the right thing because he is far too smart not to, and he does not want to disappoint his friend, President Trump. So this is another really, really bizarre statement. Obviously, Kim Jong-un is another dictator who has probably the worst human rights record out of all dictators, and is the ruler of one of the most oppressive regimes, if not the most oppressive regime in the world. So I'm not sure what a great and beautiful vision for North Korea under Kim Jong-un looks like, but it's certainly not good. And then finally, in 2022, this is after he was president, but highlights a lot of his thinking when he was president. In regard to Russian ruler Vladimir Putin, he would say, I went in yesterday and there was a television screen, and I said, this is genius. Putin declares a big portion of the Ukraine. Putin declares it as independent. Oh, that's wonderful. I said, how smart is that? And he's going to go in and be a peacekeeper. So here praising Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine and how clever it was isn't really something that a normal American president would do, especially given that it is a serious national security issue for NATO countries, including the United States. But beyond just making really dumb statements regarding dictators around the world, when it comes to just domestic politics as well, he has a knack for saying things that are not only outrageous, but also pretty dangerous and scary. For instance, in 2023, he stated, we pledge to you, in regard to, for example, in 2023, to his followers, he stated, we pledge to you that we will root out the communists, Marxists, fascists, and the radical left thugs that live like vermin within the confines of our country. So this is pretty disturbing. First off, in a free country, anyone, any political ideology you have, whether it's communist, Marxist, or fascist, is actually protected by the First Amendment. So unless you're actually doing something that's a crime, I'm not sure what he means by rooting out. Secondly, this is not an issue in the United States. Communists, Marxists, fascists are quite low in population, and fascists are certainly more popular in the MAGA movement under Trump versus the Democratic Party. Additionally, talking about people living like vermin is something really quite authoritarian in many ways. When you start dehumanizing the other side, you really are basically promoting violence in some ways. And so it's pretty dangerous and reckless thing to say, especially if you're the president of the United States or former president in this case. But unfortunately, this is not surprising coming from Donald Trump. And then this year, he also said a few other real disturbing and odd things. For example, in 2024, he said, everybody, Democrats, Republicans, liberals, and conservatives wanted Roe v. Wade terminated and brought back to the states, thus talking about how Roe v. Wade, which was protecting abortion around the country and making it so women had the right to determine what to do with their bodies when it comes to having an abortion or not. Obviously, pregnancies are quite complex, and you never know what's going to go wrong at what time during the pregnancy, and thus, in order to protect yourself, you kind of have to be able to figure out and decide that with your doctor. Unfortunately, Roe v. Wade has terminated that option for many across the country, and President Trump here would falsely claim that everyone wanted Roe v. Wade to be terminated. In fact, most people did not want, according to polling. And the idea that he mentioned even in a recent debate that, now everyone gets to vote and have their choice, that's actually not true, because there's many states where people are not allowed to vote because the state legislators don't want people to vote on, because they know that they want most people in almost every state, probably every state in America, would vote to maintain abortion rights. So that's why they don't let them vote. In fact, for example, in Indiana, where I currently am, there was no vote. The legislature just passed a law to ban abortion, and then it was signed by the governor. Not one citizen got any say in that, and we're still not allowed to vote on it, highlighting the fact that Donald Trump is false and promoting nonsense. And finally, in 2024, the last quote I'm going to mention was this Memorial Day remarks from Donald Trump, where he would tweet, "Happy Memorial Day to all, including the human scum that is working so hard to destroy our once great country." A statement that no sane person would say, but it is a common thing to say if you're former President Donald Trump. And thus, it is a pretty low point in American history. And with the 2024 election coming up soon, the United States as a nation will have to decide whether crazy political statements should become the norm again, as it was under Trump in his first term, or if sanity and decency should remain a part of American political discourse and American life. So this is a choice we have as a country to decide things. History is certainly watching, the world is watching, and we'll hope for the best. And hopefully Americans can come together especially in those swing states where the election will be determined, in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, and even North Carolina, and possibly even Florida. Hopefully Americans will come together and decide this isn't the type of stuff we want to happen in our country. We don't want this type of crazy statements to be a normal part of any type of political discourse, and we can move on from it and grow together. So, as always, remember, billions of years led to you, so make the most of it.